Sandra Jansen, who just over 1 week ago was running for progressive conservative leadership, has crossed the floor to the Alberta NDP. She's a political chameleon who chooses her political alignment based on who's winning. In the press conference with Alberta Premier Rachel Notley to announce her floor crossing, she said that she's a centrist and that the NDP reflects these views. Who does this woman think she's kidding? The NDP are hardly a centrist party, given that their leader once wore a Che Guevara watch and their candidates openly admire Hugo Chavez. And here in the province, we have an actual centrist party, the Alberta Party. But they didn't win an election, and Sandra didn't have a chance at a cabinet role with them. So why would she bother trying to join an actual centrist party, right? But to the people who have been following Sandra Jansen, her floor crossing comes as no surprise. I think we all saw this coming at least a year ago when she started voting with the NDP almost as often as she did with her own party on certain matters. And then there were the attacks on Jason Kenney that came along with her leadership campaign, allegations of abuse and harassment, and labeling any right-winger that crossed her path a bigoted extremist. And of course, while Jansen was a progressive conservative MLA, she was campaigning and hanging out with federal liberals. She campaigned for her buddy, Nirmala Naidu-Hill, who ran as a federal liberal. She was often seen buddying around with Liberal MP Kent Hare and was even near tears when he was elected last year. She was a conservative in name only, clearly running as one to win a seat in the legislature. But there's more to the hypocrisy. Both Jansen and Notley have spoken out against floor crossing, of course, when it was in their political favor to do so. Here's Rachel Notley calling members of the Wild Rose Party out that crossed the floor to the PCs in December of 2014.
Ultimately, that is a decision that the constituent, or that the MLA has to make with reference to their constituents. Obviously, when people get elected, they do it having made a bunch of promises and a bunch of commitments to their voters. Often, people vote not on the basis of the candidate, but rather the party. And so, by doing that, that means voters are selecting the MLA because they believe in what the party stands for. When the MLA crosses the floor, it means they're abandoning their voters.
Obviously, Rachel Notley doesn't feel the same way about the over 11,000 constituents in Jansen's riding that voted Conservative when Wild Rose and PC votes are combined. And official NDP policy is that floor crossers have to resign and run in by-elections. So how are they going to get around that one? I guess we'll have to wait and see if they bend the rules for Sandra Jansen, which I'm sure they will. Maybe it's part of their equality for women policy or something. I mentioned that Jansen is a political chameleon, not because she can't make up her mind, but because she's an opportunist. She's changed her colors from blue to red to orange in a little over a year, and she's turned from a progressive conservative leadership contender whose main job would be to beat the NDP in the next election to becoming an NDP member in just over a week. Interim leader Rick McIver was pleasant and parliamentary in his response to Jansen leaving his party. He wished her well. But let me be frank, Jansen just committed political suicide, not only because the NDP are finished next election, but because she has no political backbone. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching. Click the link below to subscribe to Rebel Emails so that you don't miss any of our updates.